Hello, this is Peter from Educommando and a warm welcome to our STEAM project number 12 called the Guard Dog. This is a special edition for the absolute beginning STEAM teacher who works with students between 8 and 15 years old. No prior knowledge of programming or electronics is required. We call this level the Explorer level. The purpose of today's project is to learn about a new component, the passive infrared sensor. We will also focus on the working of the Fresnel lens, the visible dome of the infrared sensor. We will exercise the buzzer and the LED and rehearse the commands if, else. We will also learn what is a DuPont wire, and the most important, we will encourage teamwork to be successful. In this lesson we are going to work with a PIR sensor. PIR stands for passive infrared or pyroelectric infrared. It is one of the most commonly used sensors to automatically switch on lights or trigger an alarm. First, explain to your students some of the basics of the infrared sensor. It is passive. This means that the sensor does not need any internal signal or processing. It reacts to an outside trigger. It is pyroelectric. This means that the sensor is sensitive to heat, and heat is the same as infrared radiation. Pyro comes from the Greek word pyro, which means fire. Opening the sensor, you will see two receptors next to each other. These two receptors will each receive a beam of infrared light. Because we measure the movement of a heat-dissipating body, there will be a time difference between the infrared light hitting the first sensor and then the second one. This creates a charge differential, which will be used to trigger an action on the microcontroller. For instance, setting a digital pin to high. And in its turn, this will sound an alarm or make an LED flash. The plastic dome serves as a lens to concentrate the infrared light beams to the small surface of the sensor. The different facets are Fresnel lenses. These are a special kind of lenses invented by Augustin Jean Fresnel, a French civil engineer living in the early 19th century. With its thinner surface than a normal lens, the Fresnel lens concentrates the infrared beams on the sensor. Let's distribute the components to your students. We start with the microcontroller and the breadboard. We have one infrared sensor, one LED, one resistor of 220 ohm, one active buzzer, two white jumper cables, one black jumper cable, a couple of preformed wires, a DuPont wire with male and female endings, and let us not forget the most important part, the cardboard dog. Because this is a relatively simple project, your students should be able to build this on their own. First, we install the LED. The negative leg is connected to the negative rail of the breadboard by using a small preformed wire. The long leg is connected via the 220 ohm resistor to one of the digital pins. For our project, we are using pin number 10. Installing the active buzzer is also quite straightforward. The positive leg is connected to the digital pin number 8, and the negative pin is connected to the ground rail of the breadboard. The PIR sensor has 3 legs, a negative, a positive, and the signal pin. For this project, we are using a special cable called a DuPont cable. This colorful cable combines 10 wires. There are different types, so make sure you use the male-female cable. We connect the red wire to the positive pin and link this to the 5-volt pin on the Arduino. The brown wire is connected to the ground, and the orange wire connects the signal output of the sensor to the digital pin number 3. We connect the black wire to the ground. You can attach the sensor to the breadboard using one of the straps or using some adhesive tape. Ask your students to connect the microcontroller to their computers and let them open the Arduino Integrated Development Environment. At the top, they should create a new sketch called Project 12, the Guard Dog. And this is also the right place to declare your variables. As we have been using 3 digital pins, we are going to declare them one by one. So the first one is the pin attached to the sensor, and we call it the PIR pin, equals 3. We have our buzzer, and we call that the buzzer pin, which is number 8, and the LED pin, which goes into the digital pin number 10. We can also already declare a delay time, and we set it at 500 milliseconds. We know that one of our digital pins will be an input pin, and that means that we will be reading a certain state, and we call that PIR state. Let's go to the setup area, where we are going to activate the pins by using a series of pin modes. A pin mode to the PIR pin, which is the input, the buzz pin is an output, and the last one, the LED pin, is also an output. Here we will also start our serial monitor by using the command serial.begin and 9600, the baud rate in between brackets. In the loop section, we first are going to define the PIR state, which is going to be a digital read from our PIR pin. And now we are going to look at what are the different actions to take when the PIR state is either a 0 or a 1. So let's start with PIR state equals to 1, and as always note that there is a double equal sign because we are comparing it to 1 and we are not setting it to 1. So if the PIR state equals 1, what do? In between the curly brackets, we are going to have a digital write. We are setting the buzz pin to high, and we are also setting the LED pin to high. We will also ensure that the serial monitor is going to print, "Hey, I see you." And we can put a delay dt here. If that is not the case, then we are using the word else. So what else? Well, we are going to put the buzz pin to low, we're going to put the LED pin to low, and the serial monitor is going to print all clear. And we can also end here with a delay. That's it for the programming. Pretty straightforward. Your class is now ready to upload the program. They can wave their hands in front of the sensor and the buzzer and the LED will light up. The text on the serial monitor will switch from all clear to "Hey, I see you." If it doesn't work with some of the groups, tell them not to panic. Tracking and correcting errors is one of the most important skills in programming. Encourage them to do some logical fault finding by asking the following questions. What was the error message of the microcontroller? Did you end all commands with a semicolon? Did you spell all commands correctly? Did you put the wires in the right pins? Did you declare the right pin numbers as variables? Are all connections on the breadboard firm? And maybe some of the components are broken. This concludes our project number 12, the guard dog. What did we learn? Well, we first looked at what is a passive infrared sensor. We learned about the working of a Fresnel lens, the visible dome of the infrared sensor. We rehearsed what we already knew about buzzers and LEDs, and we also exercised the commands if, else. Now your students know what is a DuPont wire, and the most important, they have been working together as a team and have been successful. In this lesson, we have been talking about lenses, heat, and infrared. Here are some ideas for an assignment. Explore 5 situations where Fresnel lenses are used on a daily basis. Why is infrared light invisible to the human eye? What is and explain the use of infrared therapy? What are heat maps, and can you give some examples? And what is the difference between a passive and an active infrared sensor? How and where are they used? Remember that these are just some suggestions. Use your own experience and imagination to provide other assignments. I hope that you and your class enjoyed this project and that you are eager to start with project number 13. In that lesson, we will be working with a 7-segment LED display, counting down from 9 to 0, like launching a rocket. Bye-bye for now.